There are few things in life that can truly bring us together. Few things that can lift us to our feet and bring us to our knees. Few things that can be analyzed, internalized, socialized, even spiritualized. It gives us identity. It gives us purpose. It makes us believe. There's nothing better. To the sickos, the diehards, the supporters, the hooligans, to the rowdiest, the most obsessed, the fans. For us and all those like us, it will always be sports over everything.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 174 of the world's, 175 of the world's longest tenured Denver Nuggets spin-off podcast. Welcome to DNVR Nuggets' Serbian Corner. My name is Miroslav, and before we begin, please take a moment to like the video on YouTube. And if you haven't already, subscribe to DNVR Sports YouTube channel and DNVR Nuggets podcast channel. The audio version is ideal for your commute or to make your office or home office time more bearable. If you want to support the show more directly, you can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/MiroslavCuk, just like my Seco tier supporters Peter Plummer, Daniel Lynch, and Brian Johnson. Patreon supporters can enjoy the ad-free audio version of this show. They can also submit ideas for guests and topics and appear on the show during the summer. After getting 2 nights of rest, the Nuggets welcomed one of their toughest opponents, the 10-30 Washington Wizards, who were on the second night of a back-to-back and had to fly in the previous night. The Nuggets played well on offense for most of the game, but their defense was almost non-existent. The entire game came to the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Washington was up 5. Jamal hit a highly contested turnaround long mid-range shot, which only he hits with regularity in today's NBA. Tim Hardaway made an and one on a layup, and Jamal made another tough jumper. Hardaway dunked with his left hand, and Aaron made a crucial three-pointer from the top of the key. Jamal makes a pull-up three and another mid-range shot from the ISO ball. Gordon catches a finale oop from Bruce Brown, and the game was over. The Nuggets scored 38 points in the final frame, 31 of which came from Murray and Hardaway. Yes, there were a lot of jumpers that went in, but there is some Jokic ball efficiency when it matters the most. 7 and 3 without the big guy at that point. The following night, the Giants' killer Hornets came to town. If that had been the first time you watched these two teams, you'd think the guests were some sort of juggernaut in the league. Aaron Gordon missed this game, so the home team played extra small against the motivated opponent. The Nuggets looked scared of Charlotte, missing everything in the process, while the Hornets were happy to grab rebounds on both sides of the court. Minus 12 in the rebounding column, combined with the Nuggets' 2 of 16 from the outside, produced a 26-point lead for the guests at halftime. After only 6 minutes of the third quarter, David Adelman decided he's seen enough, and he pulled the starters out of the game. The final numbers, despite the Nuggets barely winning the second half, were devastating. 8 of 38 from the outside for 21%, needed much better rebounding numbers to compensate for. Alas, it was the Hornets with a 23 rebound edge in this game, so the Nuggets' win streak was over. 2 nights later, the Lakers came to town. Aaron Gordon returned to the lineup, and the Nuggets started great. They implemented a great strategy, and that was hitting 9 of their first 11 threes in the first quarter. The second one was still very good, especially the last 30 seconds of it, that ended up on an 8-0 run including Jamal's 3/4 of a court last-second heave for a 14-point lead at the half. The second half wasn't so good. Jamal, who was incredible with 26 points in the first half, was held to just 2 points in the second. The Lakers didn't do anything special on offense, but Denver was unable to secure many defensive rebounds. The 3-point shot cooled off, just 3 of 17 in the second half, and the loss was running at the Nuggets like a runaway train. On a 41-year-old LeBron James. Yes, similar to runaway train. Slow but unstoppable. I was ready for the end of the no Joker experience at that point. 2 nights later, the back-to-back started in Washington. Big Val returned to the lineup after missing 11 games and made an immediate impact from the jump. 8 points and 4 rebounds in 7 minutes warmed my old shivering heart. Jamal Murray was laboring in the first half, scoring just 5 points until the big break, but Peyton Watson carried the load, making shots from all around the court, including from the free throw line. Jamal started playing great in the third. Peyton continued his great play. The Nuggets out-rebounded one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Aaron and Jonas scored in double digits, and all of that was enough, even with the bench that scored just 14 points. Tim Hardaway struggled with his shot for the second game in a row, but the Wizards were bad enough not to capitalize on that. Finally, last night, in freezing cold Milwaukee, the Nuggets completed their back-to-back Eastern Conference blitz trip. The good guys decided to rest Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, and Jonas Valančiunas. So Julian Strother, Zeke Naji, and Spencer Jones joined Pickett and Aaron Gordon in the starting lineup. It was obvious from the jump that the zombie Nuggets wanted this win more than the Bucks. Aaron Gordon got injured late in the second quarter after playing well. He apparently re-injured his right hamstring, and that didn't stop the Nuggets since Strother caught fire, and Tim Hardaway finally started hitting shots after 2.5 games long shooting slump. They were up 23 points with 10 minutes to go, and then almost completely collapsed. So much so that Jalen Pickett had 2 free throws up just 1.4 seconds to go. Hit only one, but fortunately, the most detached from reality NBA player, Al Kuzma, got the last shot, and he took it a second too early. 9-5 without Joker. Okay, I have a great panel for you today. First, an avid film enthusiast, always ready to share his bold takes against the mainstream of the movie aficionados, an audio and video producer, and the co-host of the delightful NBA podcast called What's in the Game from Littleton, Colorado. It's Will Jones. Welcome back to the show, Will.
Thank you. Always love being here. It's one of the best times, as always.
Is it cold in Colorado right now?
Yeah, I think it was single digits at one point early this morning. Finally, it had been way too warm in the winter, so finally getting that chill.
So you are a fan of real winter then?
I wouldn't say fan, but like Colorado's nicer than people think, of course, but you don't want this months of the winter to be 60 degrees. It starts to get a little concerning. So we're finally getting some real winter right now.
One joke I heard recently about winter was that most of people after 2 months of winter say, oh, that's enough of that. But that's when the actual winter starts in most parts of the world anyway. I'm not talking about like New Zealand and stuff like that. Like I'm sorry, but this is not New Zealand biased podcast. Okay, next, one of my favorite writers, Full Stop, used to write for the Denver Stiffs, continued writing for DNVR, all while hiding a trombone and an a cappella singing group from the eyes of sports fans. From the enemy territory of Phoenix, Arizona, it's Mike Olson. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Thanks, Miro.
Right. I'm trying to find you.
There you are.
Hey.
It's hard to hide a trombone that way too. Yeah. Thanks. Good to be here. Always happy to get a chance to come and chat, and always a big fan. So Yeah,
So-
good panel today.
I usually start with geography and climate and stuff like that because I'm a nerd. I wonder because Phoenix is in a desert, right?
It is.
Does that
Phoenix
mean
is
it's
in the
really cold right now, or is it still warmer than places
it's-
like Colorado?
It's certainly warmer than what Will is experiencing. Although still always keeping track of Colorado, and yeah, they've had a warm winter. This is their nice time of year. There's a friend of mine that calls this this is the Chamber of Commerce weather, as he calls it. Pretty soon we'll be back in the easy bake oven weather around here, so it gets hot pretty quick.
Okay, and last but not least, we're gonna try to get one more guest. Let me see if we can do it. Let me see if I don't know how to produce anymore. Oh, here we are. Here we are. So an elite Peyton Watson truther, a Nuggets writer and a Nuggets YouTuber, a huge Broncos fans as well, making his Serbian Corner debut. It's the NBA/NFL chicken. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun to be on the sidelines, but it's cool to be on the show now. Thanks.
So these are very exciting times for all three of you guys, I guess. I believe all of you are Broncos fans as well. So you are in the midst of like the highest possible sports season right now.
Absolutely.
About as good as it gets. Yeah.
Except for the injury bug that the Nuggets have is filtering over to the Broncos. So that's kind of killing me.
I have to tell you guys, I don't like American football at all. Like I've tried several times to watch it, and I have a confession to make. I did watch the first half of that last Broncos game last week, and I actually enjoyed it. It turns out
Wow.
if the team you're trying to root for is good, it's a fun game. So I actually really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it was already midnight when the first half ended in my part, so I had to call it quits. And I was happy to see that they won it in the end. And I will be there tomorrow, split screen with the Nuggets game, I guess, because they're going to be playing at the same time. That's pretty unfortunate.
The Avs will be playing as well. Denver will have three teams playing
Oh my
all
God.
at the same time. This happened. I think this has already happened twice this year. So
Yeah,
busy.
I guess it's a good thing if the Rockies are playing at the same time as well. Nobody will care about that, but I
Truth.
don't want to digress
True.
too strongly here. Okay, let's start with last night's game. What the hell did I watch between 3:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. in Serbia last night or this morning? Will, can you explain last night's game?
I don't think so. It was like horrible efficiency from both sides. I have said that if Joker was going to go out, the schedule has kind of been favorable for us in a way. Like we've played this reeling Bucks team twice, and to beat them on the road, and like Giannis creating uncertainty in the locker room with his future and just falling apart over there. So it was just two teams that are in tough positions for different reasons, but thankfully we have the one that's more solid, and I think with a more solid goal and foundation with our roster, and we were able to just like have that consistency and enough talent to still win.
Mike, who made last night's game weirder? The Nuggets without their top 7 guys, or the Bucks just being the Bucks right now?
I think it's the former. That game took so long last night, and I think it would have felt like it took that long even if they wouldn't have had some of the delays and all the rest of it. It just stretched and stretched, and while Denver tried really hard to give it away in that fourth quarter, I would say that the Bucks were still weirder by a very small margin in that game. And nobody was playing great basketball, and fortunately we squeaked a win out of that. Easier to learn out of a win, for sure.
Ken, we agreed. I'm going to call you Ken because I just don't feel comfortable calling anybody chicken. So Ken, what were your biggest takeaways from last night's game?
I think it was really cool to see Strother kind of stretch his wings last night for maybe the first time this season. Those 20 points came all before the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I kind of was hoping that wouldn't be the case. Sometimes you get to the fourth quarter and you don't see him as much, and that's kind of what happened last night. But it was really nice to see that he still has it. He's been really injured this year, so having a little spotlight from him yesterday was really nice to see.
Okay, let's take our first short break, and after that, we are going to try to look at a bit of a larger picture of Denver Nuggets currently. So don't go anywhere. We are back, and I'm going to read off a really nice tweet I saw yesterday from the Nuggets World Twitter account, and I'm just going to update it because it's a day old now. So Nikola Jokic has missed 14 games so far. Aaron Gordon has missed 23 games. Christian Braun has missed 32 games. Cam Johnson missed 18. Jonas Valančiunas missed 12. Even the last starter, Jamal Murray, has now missed 5 games. It's not nothing. And yet the Nuggets are 31-15 and the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. What does this say about this team? And can we make a grand proclamation already based on these facts, or do we need to see more? Let's start with Mike this time.
I think what it says about this team is that we have the kind of depth that we've been wishing for the last couple of seasons. I mean, we've certainly carried ourselves over more than a few humps in this year, but I think it also says that hopefully we get everybody back. We get everybody back healthy. Sorry about the injury last night, AG. And in time to get some continuity. I was really afraid when Joker went down, especially, that we'd slip way down the standings, and that hasn't happened so far. So we don't have a lot of distance to make up just yet. But you wonder if when you get everybody back, if you can make all of these pieces fit into place. All of a sudden we're, 11 guys deep now? All of a sudden it's really been something.
So, Ken, last year we didn't have Jonas, we didn't have Tim Hardaway, we didn't have Bruce Brown, but we did have Pickett, and we did have, Strother, and we did have even Hunter Tyson and Zeke Naji, and they all looked so incapable of playing real NBA minutes. But this season, something changed for them. Is it as simple as just changing the coach there, or do you think there's something else to it?
I think that's a major component to it. It seems like there were a lot of things behind the scenes between Malone and Booth that maybe were, seeping onto the basketball court with them not getting a lot of playing time and maybe stunting their development. And now with all of that out of the way this season, maybe they have clearer heads and can play the ball that they know that they can. And it seems like the culture Adelman has put in this team and in those players specifically has allowed them to get to another level that a lot of us fans never expected, especially Zeke Naji. I mean, if you go back 6 months and look at the Twitter timeline of what people said about him compared to now, you wouldn't even believe what he's been able to do in these last dozen games or so. So saying it's just the coach seems simple, but it almost seems like that is the answer.
Well, the Nuggets have played 14 games without Joker so far. We'll see how many more we'll have to endure, but the record is 9-5 in those. I thought when the initial injury report of 4 weeks absence, I was looking at the schedule, it was something like 18 games or something, and I was thinking, they're probably going to go like 8-10, 7-11, something like that. And I was trying to figure out how low they're going to drop in the standings, and are they going to be able to dig themselves up from the play-in and get back to the home court advantage part of the Western Conference bracket. And now, when they're still the number 3 seed, I can rest easy, at least for a second. Are you surprised if I told you 4 weeks ago they're going to be 9-5 without Joker? What would you tell me?
Yeah, I would have said you're probably delusional to some degree. I mean, I'm surprised for sure, and I'm not trying to be, a pessimist when it comes to Jokic going down, but I mean, the non-Jokic minutes have plagued us for so long, and now we have like the first injury where Jokic is missing some significant time. And that's scary as a Nuggets fan. So the fact that the depth has really paid off is a very good sign. And to like your point about concluding anything about this run, my sights are pretty high, and I'm starting to think very good things about our championship hopes, because, and I know it's like everyone needs to come together healthy first, but the way everyone's playing and the way that we're getting production out of P-Watt developing and Pickett and Zeke, just, we already thought we were going to have to play him because of the forward depth questions. And now we have this stretch where you need him even more, and it's holding up for the most part, and we're actually stealing wins is just like found money. And so I couldn't be happier with this for sure.
What do you think, Mike? Is it a huge surprise to you that with a positive approach guy like David Adelman, they've been able to use all of their resources? I mean, we got real minutes from Curtis Jones last night. I'm not even trying to pile on the guy. He is a shooter. He is their 17th guy or whatever in the roster, and he still contributed some. Is this something that has happened throughout the Nuggets history? So you can say, yeah, we already had this kind of situation. We had this great coach who managed to save the season while most of his stars were out.
I mean, I certainly agree with Ken that I think the Adelman piece is a part of the picture that has been so important in helping them get through some of the bumpier moments. As much as I was a huge Mike Malone fan, he certainly was a lot more tempestuous, a sort of a guy. And I think there would have definitely been some much more passionate moments in all of this. But I think the phrase that Will used nailed it for me as well. I think this is all, found money. I think they've certainly put themselves in a remarkable position. I think even over Curtis, I agree. Zeke is the example that whoever saw Zeke Naji breaking out during a Joker injury, I think I would have had not much money on that bet at the beginning of the season, and how incredible it's been to see that actually come around and happen.
Ken, what is, in your opinion, the biggest threat the Nuggets have that is being used for their road record of 19-7? Even when they are seriously undermanned, they still found way to win games. Is there anything specific about this team that helped them get through it like that?
I don't know. I was looking at this in like a funny way. Like, are there like bad relationships with their spouses at home? Like when they come home, we're 12-8 at home, and then they go on the road, and it's like their head's clear, they're playing great. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I know that they have had a very road heavy first half of the season, and maybe that's something that the coaching staff was really focused in on, and the team's maybe been more locked in on the scouting report, flying, that 7-game road trip that they had most recently, they had without Jokic for the most of the time, and were still able to do well. So maybe there's just a rallying spirit that the younger guys have that have kept them up for these away games, and I guess it just goes away when they go home. Not sure.
Do you have a different theory, Will?
I think we had this crazy East road trip where we won a lot of games, and we just won again in Milwaukee. And I think the East is definitely weak. But
thank you.
Yes. So I'm glad that we got to play a lot of East teams in this, because they are like almost in another tier of NBA league. So that, plus I think a lot of our home travel, like the way that it was scheduled, where we'd like go on the road and then come back and only have, like we'd get back super late and then have to play a home game. The schedule was weird with that. So I think it's kind of fluky, the fact that our home record's falling off, because I think it was just NBA poorly scheduled. And then additionally, I'm pretty sure we're first in 3-point percentage right now. And the extra shooting, like if you're good at 3-point shots, it is a good like mistake eraser. So if you like are limited on guys and you don't have starters, but you're just making threes, like you can steal games. And I think that's a part of it. And I'm glad we added some shooting, and Adelman clearly made that an emphasis in the front office as well, like coming out of last season.
So Mike, my guy, Jeff Morton is really annoyed with the Nuggets being only 12-8 at home, and I have to say I'm with him on that. Like, it's really annoying. Will mentioned the kind of a weird schedule, short stints at home, and then interrupted with some other short away games, stuff like that. But the Nuggets need to have the strongest stronghold in the entire league, but for some reason they didn't have it last season as well. But the last season's team wasn't played as well as this team did, and yet we are still like a 0.600 team at home. Do you see them getting better, going forward this season?
I do, especially as you start bringing healthy bodies back. But I think Will touched on a point that I had also been looking at as you had raised this question to us, as you prepped us for getting into the show. I think 2 or 3 times we've come home to the second night of a back-to-back. And Scott Hastings talks about it on the broadcasts all the time. The toughest game of a road trip is always the first one back home. You get back to your family, you get back to your routine, you get back to life, and then
you need to take out the trash when you come home. I mean,
yep. And that next night, that very next night, you're still back on a basketball court fighting for your life. I do think it's even more exaggerated in some ways than we're making it out to be, because it's hard to remember clear back to the beginning of the season when we started off great at home, right? We started off undefeated at home for quite a while. So to have the record look like this now, I can see why everybody's feeling it. It means we've lost a lot at home of late. And then that's just not typical Nuggets basketball ever.
Ken, do you think it's disrespectful to Nuggets fans to just lose games at home? Like, people come during the bad weather and it's snowing and it's windy and you have trouble finding parking lots around the arena, and they lose a game to whatever the net. What's it, the Nets at
The Bulls
away game? The Bulls. I mean, Charlotte, stuff like that. Do you feel that disrespectful, or is it just the ebbs and flows of an 82 game season?
It is the ebbs and flows. We are in the dog days of the schedule right now, but in some respects, I can understand that, because we hear all the time that Denver has the unfair altitude advantage, and we should be more acclimated to it. And sometimes, like Will mentioned, that Bulls game, they're on the second night of a back-to-back and basically just beat us out the gym that night. So it can be understandable. It's just this weird dichotomy between the altitude being an advantage or not sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe next year they can do their training camp at the altitude and not at the sea level. But I'm starting to annoy people with the take. I just keep repeating every time. Okay, let's take one more short break, and then I'm gonna make a resume of how actually incredible the season has been so far. So don't go anywhere. We are back, and it is an easy sell that the Nuggets have an amazing group this season. Joker was his best version until the injury. Jamal was by far his best self so far. Aaron started strong but missed a lot of time already. Cam Johnson needed some time to gel with the other starters, but started to look incredible before the injury. Yes, Christian Braun wasn't close to his last season's regular season self before the injury, but Peyton Watson exceeded all expectations and looks like a no-brainer top 5 guy for the Nuggets this season. Jonas Valančiunas is undoubtedly the best backup 5 for the Nuggets, at least since Boogie Cousins, if not for longer than that. Tim Hardaway is having his career shooting season on a minimum deal. Spencer Jones is a guy nobody outside of Denver knows who he is, but he already has more starting 5 appearances than all of Cam, Aaron, and Christian, and he's been really, really solid as a starter as well as the bench piece. Pickett looks like a bona fide NBA level backup point guard that can shoot very well. Zeke looks better than ever, which isn't necessarily high praise, but still. Even Strother and Tyson have had their moments. Strother last night in particular, in this last stretch of games. And yet, I'm asking you, Will, what is your biggest concern going into the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't changed since the offseason, which was still health. That's clearly the biggest issue right now. But because it happened early, I'm more hopeful that we're going to get it together for the most important part of the year. Aside from that, though, and I know like the AG kind of restrained his hamstring, so that's like on the forefront of everyone's mind. But aside from that, still going to be the defense. If everyone's healthy, what is that identity going to look like in the playoffs? Are we going to have the focus that we need and the intensity? So far, we have like these guys have had to like raise their effort just being shorthanded, and I think that'll carry over. So I'm pretty optimistic. Like we have already raised our defensive effort last playoffs, and we always do. Like we have a middling defense in the regular season, and then can raise the skill level and the attention and the positional awareness in the playoffs. So I think we'll do it again. But our offense is amazing, and if we can just get a couple stops, we look pretty unstoppable. So I think that's just what I'm looking at for the most part.
Mike, you and I both, we have some gray hairs on our heads, which means two things. One thing is that we are both really handsome, and the second thing is that we worry a lot. So this is why we got our gray hairs. What do you worry about the most going forward this season?
I worry a lot, and that's why I have not much hair. Actually, is the thing. But I think I talked a little bit earlier about the cohesion. I definitely want to see them get enough time under their belts to kind of get back to the cohesive engine that they can be when they're running in sort of tip-top shape. I think the other thing, it has been what a remarkable year for Jamal to come in hot. Basically, we needed this version of this Jamal this first half of the year with Joker out. I will be interested to see him carry that out now for 82 games. That's we're going to be taxing him hard this year, and it's a big ask. I'm wanting to see him make his usual leap, even though he came in as hot as he's ever come into the season.
Ken, do you agree with Will and Mike, or do you have a third version of thing that worries you the most?
I do agree with both of them. Mine is a little more granular. I was choosing between Christian Braun's immersion back into the starting lineup. Will he be able to get up to the level he played to last year, even just 70% of the guy he was last year? But the more granular thing I was worried about is rebounding. You could kind of see that in the game last night. The amount of offensive rebounds, especially in the first half, the Bucks were able to get. And I know this might be a little too early to maybe think about that, since this is still the backups that are mostly playing, but it still seemed to plague the team when Jokic was in. So I know once we get to the playoffs, that's still going to be a big thing, winning that rebound battle in those big games.
So when I was thinking about this question, I thought I had an original thought in my head, and then DNVR guys did the post-game show, and they all agreed that they're super worried about Aaron Gordon's health, and that is my main thing. I wish I felt different, because I love Aaron Gordon with all my heart. He is my favorite Nugget of all time. It's just I cannot look at him and think, oh, this guy is perfectly healthy. There's nothing to worry about. Even in these games, while he was back from the injury, he looked like he was trying not to re-injure himself at almost every possession. And that's scary. And of course, a very, very logical thing for him to do. It's just it didn't look great, and then he re-injured it, and now we are still waiting for the verdict. How many weeks he's gonna need to sit out this time around? And I beg them, do not hurry it. Like wait until the playoffs if you need it, because Aaron knows what he's supposed to do. The team knows how to play next to Aaron. Most of the guys know how to play next to Aaron. It's just unfortunate that we might not get to see this. What's the phrase from Star Wars? This battle station at its full power. I wanted to see Peyton Watson at the 2 in place of Christian Braun for at least like 5 games or 10 games stretch, just to see how far they could go in both offense and defense. And now it looks like we might not see it until the playoffs or close to it. So that is my main concern here, and I hope that we're gonna see some proof that's gonna just wave my concerns away, because we're gonna see some stuff that's gonna make at least me more confident in Aaron's health, because I'm not only talking about this season, I'm talking about Aaron going forward. He is up for a relatively big extension next season. He's gonna be a 30 million guy starting next season and for the following 2 seasons after that. So those are the things we're gonna have to think about after this season. I'm not gonna waste too much time during this season while we are making our big hurrah and trying to win it all this season. When it looks like all the pieces are in, we just need to see if they can be all healthy at the same time, so they can show us their real power. Okay, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about the league at large, because I'm looking at the list of teams the Nuggets played in these last 14 games. Milwaukee with passive-aggressive Giannis twice, Washington twice, the Mavericks, the Pelicans, the Nets. Does the NBA have more bad teams than the previous few seasons, and why? Let's start with Ken.
Yeah, I actually wanted to approach this with the intent each team had at the start of each season.
Okay.
Like, you look at the Bucks right now, they definitely stink, but they came into the season, they got Miles Turner, they dumped Damian Lillard and all his money, and were really just all in, and it just didn't work. So there was intent to be good, but they weren't. But then you have teams like the Jazz and the Pelicans who definitely came into the season saying, I want one of those top 3 picks. Well, except the Pelicans can't do that. But they came in the season knowing that they weren't going to try to be a play-in team or better. And by my count, we have about like 7 bad teams that came into the season wanting to be bad. And now there's like 3 additional teams that have kind of involved themselves in that list now. And it's almost the same as last year when I was trying to compare the standings between the last 2 seasons. So I am kind of surprised by that, but yeah, I think it's about the same, as bad as it is.
If I had a European sports fan on this panel, and if I would ask him, like, is 7 bad teams too many in a league? Everybody in Europe would just scream, why would you have 7 bad teams? Why would 7 teams not want to compete? Are you guys crazy? It's sports. But Will, is that like optimal? 7 teams not trying to win from the jump during the season?
I don't think so. And I mean, I think the NBA feels the same. There was a report about them looking into tanking and what they can maybe do about that. And we also have these injuries, like a ton of injuries, and they're going to look at that too. Finally, they're not just going to say that there isn't any data to support these injuries happening with the amount that these guys are playing and the scheduling. So that's a part of it. And then, yeah, just kind of shaken out that way where like even in the West, where the West has the reputation of being super deep with these teams, the top teams are pretty solidly in the top. And it seems like the more middle teams and bottom teams are going to stay there unless Kawhi really revamps the Clippers somehow, which I doubt. But And I think the CBA was a big shift. Like the NBA is all kind of shifting with this, like with a lot of injuries and players getting older, like Kawhi and James Harden and LeBron and Steph. The younger players are taking over and they're coming into the league ready. They're able to sustain themselves on the court because they're younger. They're not getting injured as much, and teams aren't really sure how to build and navigate the CBA right now. And so it's a lot of like questions. We haven't seen anything like land or like become the best practice yet. And so, and a lot of these teams are looking to like change, and the deadline's coming, but they're playing this game of like chicken with Giannis and what he's going to say. So things are going to start looking different depending on which domino falls first, I think.
So, Mike, am I overreacting when I call all of these teams bad? Is this just because the Nuggets are awesome and everybody else looks horrible in comparison?
No, I think you're very much on point, and I think both Ken and Will made excellent points in there about what's gotten us here and how we've gotten here. I had hoped to go do a little research because I loved this question, and I just didn't get to it. But the other thing I would add, and this is more an impression than something I've got data to back up, it feels like a lot of ownership groups and front offices are also less experienced than what we have seen in the past. And you think about how, when Matt Ishbia comes into the Suns, basically, and just declares that, now we're going to win everything and start spending like crazy with a very public second apron coming into play and staring him in the face. You look at how Dallas has handled their business in a lot of ways, and some folks that are no longer with their front office because of it, and things like that. I think there's a lot of groups right now that are trying to find their legs. It actually left me a little bit worried about this dual-headed GM thing that we were getting ourselves into coming into this season, and also with a brand new coach. Somehow the Nuggets do not seem to be showing those sort of ill effects from something that I think is a little bit of a league-wide pandemic right at the moment. So
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And Will mentioned the second problem, and that's the injuries. Giannis says he will be out 4 to 6 weeks. He doesn't need the MRI. He doesn't need his medical staff. He knows he's not going to play for the Bucks for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Joker has been out for a month. Aaron, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, all out for significant time. Haliburton and Tatum missed complete seasons. Wemby is in and out. Embiid, Paul George, in and out. Dame out for the season. Fred VanVleet out for the season. Kyrie out for most of the season. AD, I mean, come on. And now Jimmy Butler is out for the season. How would you approach the NBA's constantly growing problem with injuries to its high-profile players? Mike, do you have a plan to assist the NBA? How not to watch games, starless games like the one in Milwaukee?
I think Will nailed this on the head in his last set of comments. Every name that you just named there is certainly a veteran right now. Those are all folks who are getting up there in age, and I think it's how do you deal with this for Aaron? Do you find somebody who can help him with these injuries? Seem to be happening in very specific and repetitive places. Can you do like Steph did with his ankles years back and actually find a regimen that helps him get himself into a better spot? I don't see this as necessarily a long-term something for Joker. This is, everybody gets injured every once in a while. But the kind of games that a lot of these guys play, you look at Jimmy's injury the other night, Jimmy Butler's injury the other night, he's a wrecking ball. He's a crash test dummy. And he's also way up there now in terms of how long he's been in the league. There's a lot of guys who play their games that way. And the further down the road you get, all of a sudden you are turning into Kawhi and AD, who both just seem to be made out of glass, basically, at this point in their careers, right? You whack AD on the hand and he's out for another month and a half. It's been a lot this season.
Ken, do you maybe have a solution?
I think one of the more practical ones would be to reduce the amount of games in the schedule by maybe 8
That's
games.
a popular.
That way,
Yeah.
you're getting rid of potentially 7 back-to-backs. You maybe have 2 games, I mean, 2 nights off between games every now and then. Maybe you can have more time off while on road trips. These injuries are mostly due to the fact that I think players are having to play so much, and there's so much ground to cover now in the modern day game with the corner threes and things like that. And one of the other solutions I've seen is to get rid of corner threes. You know, the 3-point line just ends kind of where it gets flat on the side of the court, and the defenses and the players' bodies don't have to travel as much during games, which could reduce the likelihood of those soft tissue injuries. So those are 2 potential solutions, but I know owners do not want to give up that revenue with those games going away. So it'll have to be
Yeah,
something else.
I think you nailed it with the rule changes. Like nobody can cover as much ground as everybody is supposed to cover nowadays. Like the players are quicker than ever. They shoot more than ever, and it's just impossible to play good defense. And everybody's trying to catch up with the offense, and that's when the injuries start to creep up. I guess let's do a fun exercise right now, and hopefully a quick one because we're gonna need to take another break here, and that's with the 65 game rule for MVP and the other awards, but also for the All NBA fives. There's gonna be a messed up list this season with so many guys who are not gonna be eligible to be an All NBA guy. I came to 4 names, which would be like the most or the least impressive guys who would eventually end up on an All NBA list, and I want to see if some if you agree on some of those or if you have a different name. So the names I came up with are Denny Avdia, Michael Porter Jr., Keontae George, and Norman Powell. All of these guys have good enough stats to be in the All NBA contention, considering how many guys above them will not be able to be there. I didn't put Jamal Murray here because I think he's way more impressive than the other 4 I mentioned right now. Do you have a different name, or do you think I'm being crazy with one of these? Will?
Yeah, my like more realistic answer that I was looking at, depending on how you feel, and this isn't even that bad, but like Şengün making it. If you said him at the beginning of the season, you might have thought he'd taken some leap, perhaps, because these are like 15 guys, right, in the top of the league.
Yeah.
But my like funny answer was MPJ for sure. That's what I was going with, just because of like his usage and everything being crazy. But he might be traded, so I don't know what his production will look like, and we could see more injuries.
Maybe he becomes a Laker and then immediately gets all the accolades because the Lakers get all the
spotlight. It could happen. That would just be crazy. Because like he could make the All-Star game too. I don't know.
Oh, I really hope he will. I really hope he will. Mike, do you have a different name or a comment on these ones?
I saw both the other guys laugh when you'd said MPJ, and I had him on my list as well. The only one that I think is a little bit out of I could also see with the kind of press that each of them is getting this season. There's a few rookies kind of in contention for Rookie of the Year, and that's a rare something for All NBA. That's you don't see that much aside from the Doncic's and things like that. I could see with the kind of press and action and numbers that Flag and Edgecombe and Newpol are all putting up, that maybe one of those guys sneaks in as well.
Oh, that would be really exciting, and also it would just show how dumb the rule is. Ken?
I had some of those names. I was really surprised to hear Keontae George on that list from you.
Maybe that was a long shot. Yeah.
Julius Randle, I think, might be able to sneak in there.
He's already been the All NBA though, like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I guess after being traded from the Knicks and the way that he had been perceived these last couple of seasons, I kind of didn't expect him to be close to this list, but he really is. And then I had other names like Josh Giddey and like Paolo Banchero who could potentially squeak in there just because of, team record and things like that.
Oh, Paolo. My favorite inefficient star in the league. I just love talking about Paolo, but I'm not gonna because we need to take our last break. And after that, I'm gonna make you make me a list of your top 10 Nuggets this season. So don't go anywhere. Okay, before we go, I need to record the list of top 10 Nuggets this season so I can continue filling out the spreadsheet with everyone's ranking because spreadsheets are my passion. So whoever wants to start first, if somebody's already ready to give me his list from 1 to 10 or from 10 to 1, which is even more exciting.
I mean, I guess I could just make it up. I don't have a list like ready.
Okay.
But I'll go with just the first two being Jokic and Jamal.
Okay.
Even though Jokic is out, because Jokic is playing like one of the best seasons ever before he went out, and Jamal is playing his best season.
I will tell you, those are very popular choices. Everybody so far picked Joker and Jamal number 1 and number 2. Okay, number 3.
Let's go. I'm gonna go Tim Hardaway because he's been such a revelation, and just with him being on a minimum of what he's been doing, that's gonna like vault him up. Then I'll say Val for the same reason. I love those two guys. Just guys off the bench and like a backup center, and watching a backup center for Jokic is just a true pleasure. Okay. And then P. Watt. Okay. Because he's taken his leap. What else we got? Who am I missing? The starters have all been out.
It's true.
Who am I missing? How many more do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You have 5 more. So you haven't had Aaron and Cam Johnson and Christian Brown when it comes to starters.
I'll go AD. I know he's been hurt, but he started out pretty well. And when he plays, he still like is making an impact. And I hope he gets healthy. Then I'll go Pickett. Okay. We had a backup point guard question. I like his assisting out there, and his shot has been great. I thought it would be great, and it's proving true.
By the way, this is just the 3rd time Pickett's name appears on the top 10 list, so kudos to you.
Nice.
Because at the beginning of the season, nobody was picking Pickett to be a top 10 guy. Okay, number 8.
I'll go Cam. Took a while, but I think he's solid. I think his fundamentals are good, and he'll be big for us still. Who else we got?
We have Spencer Jones. We have Christian Brown. We have.
Dang, I missed Spencer. I'll put Spencer now. I should have put him up way higher, but I'll put him now.
You can put it. I can slide, guys. Just tell me what to do. It's not a problem.
I'll put Spencer above AG.
Okay.
And then I'll do Zeke. We'll throw him a bone.
Okay, so Zeke
fill in.
Zeke above Christian Brown and Bruce Brown. Okay.
Those guys have a lot to prove right now, Bruce and CB. So
that is a fair point. Okay, Mike, can I have your list now?
I'm not gonna divert from everybody else's 1 and 2. I think that's the pretty easy call. Okay. But I do. Peyton's just been a revelation. He's probably my 3rd guy right at the moment. What is it, 3 30-point games or something already this season? That's just bananas. But I like Tim up high, and Tim in 4th makes a lot of sense to me. Aaron's higher for me, and it's probably my sentimental self. But when he has played, especially lately, filling in the Joker spot, that's been kind of mind blowing to me. Just how well he's actually
awesome.
Off the elbow. Yeah. That's incredible. I just completely unexpected. We always seem more stable when Pickett is in the game.
No, it's 6. Pickett.
Yeah, so I've actually got him at 6. Although I was scribbling all this down furiously as Will was going because I had forgotten we were doing this little exercise. I also think that we play a more stable and steady game when Cam is in as well.
Mhm.
So I've got Cam and then I've got Val.
Okay.
I am still. I almost never like the guys who are into chaos basketball, but I'm a huge Bruce Brown fan. I've got him
Okay.
at 9. And then I think maybe I'm probably just rooting for Christian at 10. I want to see him back and healthy so badly, and want to know that we didn't make a dumb mistake in extending him and not Peyton as we
I
get
just
through
want
this
to.
season. So
I just want to make sure because people tend to forget Spencer Jones.
that's true. That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not pushing you. If he's
No.
not in your top 10, that's fine. I'm just
He's
mentioning
probably
because-
he's probably at least ahead of Christian right now. He's been probably more the revelation even than Peyton, whoever saw Spencer coming out of nowhere to do this. So
Okay, we are putting Spencer then at 10. Ken, we are rounding up the list with your picks.
Okay. It's funny. I thought Mike had hacked my computer and read my first 6 because he had them exactly in order. Jokic, Jamal, Watson, Tim Hardaway, AG, and Pickett were my top 6, just like Mike's.
Okay.
Then
Nice.
I had Spencer Jones at 7.
Mhm.
Really just loved the way he's been able to be a defensive vice when need be in certain games. Jonas at 8. I think when he's been healthy, he's been great in terms of settling the backup big minutes, which we just haven't seen since maybe DeMarcus Cousins like 3-4 years ago. Then I had Cam at 9, just because we haven't seen him in like over a month or so, but he was still kind of rounding into form before being injured. And then I had Zeke at 10 because that has been one of the biggest revelations of all of our revelations we've had this season.
We need to talk about Zeke for a moment because I was just throwing him into the sewer for the last 2 seasons, maybe more than that, honestly. And every time he would appear at that backup 5 position and looked completely incompetent, against guys who were usually way bigger than him, or not even bigger, just better rebounders. Zeke is not a really good rebounder, even though he had 12 rebounds in this last game, which is really encouraging. Maybe something is clicking for him. Well, it was the Milwaukee Bucks, I guess. Maybe that's the reason. But I don't want to digress too hard. Will, what do you think when you saw those games where Zeke was just like Nuggets' 3rd or 4th best player on the court for the entirety of the game? Is that the biggest shocker of this season?
Probably. Although I'm still like maybe even more surprised by how good PY has been, because
It's true.
crazy. But just him like making threes and making like, what did he hit? Like 4 threes in a game, and that hadn't happened for many years. And like, what can you say about Zeke other than, despite the fact that he is the most criticized Nugget for a contract that wasn't his doing, like it was the GM who gave that to him, and why so many Nuggets fans really resent him, if they do resent him. I'm sure it's not personal, but he always stays positive. He roots for his teammates on the bench. He's always really excited for everybody. And when he came into this stretch, he was able to actually produce on the court. So I'm just happy for him as a person who like gets a lot of heat. And, there are some times where the bottom falls out a little bit, and it's, the Zeke Najee that everyone expects, where it's a bad play here and there. And Miles Turner was getting him pretty good last night with these blocks, but he still was able to like be out there and be a body and be a guy for us. So I'm just happy for him that he's getting minutes and playing, and we're winning games. So just excited for him, and hopefully he's enjoying it.
This show is going to sound like I'm piling on Michael Malone constantly, but to me, when I look at Zeke now, I think I see that Ademans is trying to show us what Zeke is good at and not what Zeke is bad at. And this is the reason why we are actually getting probably the best possible version of Zeke at this point in time. And don't forget, there are like only 12 guys in Nuggets history who played for the Nuggets for more seasons than Zeke. Zeke is a true Nuggets lifer. Played even more games than Trey Lyles, for God's sake. Mike, is that your main takeaway about Zeke just getting a chance to show what he is actually good at?
I don't know if Trey Lyles is the bar I want to clear, first off. But I do think that if I hope that the karmic basketball gods will forgive me. My big hope in seeing Zeke perform this way is that maybe this year that's a tradable contract, and I wouldn't mind seeing us make a shift there. As nice a guy, as good a guy as Zeke has been, I'd sure be interested in seeing if we couldn't move off of that before the trade deadline.
Ken, tell me a bit about P. Watt's rise this season. What is what in particular impresses you the most from what we've seen from him for the last month?
I think it's really been his self-creation. There's been a boost in confidence, I think, out of desperation with all of the injuries on the team that have allowed him to kind of really grow into what he's kind of been working on since he's been a prospect. Like, a lot of people look at his profile when he came out of college, only averaging 3 points a game, and how is he a first-round pick? But some of the context around that was that was in the middle of the pandemic. He was the 12th highest graded prospect in his class, and he wanted to stay in California and went to UCLA, which had a coach that was who had already built this really big and veteran team that went to the Final Four. And so he didn't get a lot of minutes. And so then a lot of people didn't understand that he still had that skill set coming into the league. And now he's had these 3 to 4 years now where he's been able to learn and develop and grow. And this has been his first opportunity to really kind of blossom and show off what he's been working on. And it's been great to see, especially the mid-range game. I didn't know he could really pull that off. He's been able to be very creative with the spin moves and keeping his balance and still doing fadeaways, pump fakes, pushing through, push shots, all of those things I didn't really know could be that efficient that he had in his bag. So that on top of the Steph Curry level shooting off the, pull-ups, step backs, off the catch, all of those things, they've just all come together at the same time. And that's really gotten him to be now where people are wondering if he's going to get a contract even higher than what Christian Braun was given this past summer.
That is true. And I wish this show could last for another hour because we have so many things to talk about. We didn't even talk about Tim Hardaway Jr.'s season. Like he's just been amazing. This is why he's so high on your lists as well. Also, Jalen Pickett, a guy who shares his birthday with me, which also makes him pretty important because of it. Will, tell us when can we expect the next What's in the Game podcast?
Yeah, we do shows on Wednesday and Thursday. Whichever game the Nuggets aren't playing, that's when we do a show. If there's a back-to-back, we might push it to Friday. But yeah, come by on YouTube, What's in a Game. Follow me on socials and come chat. Love to talk Nuggets.
Mike, your column, your weekly WKND column on DNVR. There's so many syllables here. Consonants, sorry, so many consonants here. Yep. What did you write about in your last one?
I actually, I guess I was a little prescient on what Will was going to be saying about the found money piece, but I wrote about that with the Broncos as well. I think they're playing with house money at the moment, and they can play pretty free and loose coming into this weekend, even with a backup quarterback, because everything from here is just gravy for them. So, yeah.
And Ken, I can recommend to everybody, just go follow Ken on @NBA Chicken on Twitter. He's a great follow. And also check out his pinned tweet where it's his piece about Spencer Jones and the ways the Nuggets can hold on to Spencer Jones is services for seasons going forward, because he's been such a great addition. Do you have any other pieces in the works?
Yeah, I'm going to be writing my annual draft guide. That's typically like 25 pages. Since we actually have a pick this year, I'm going to bring that back. And I might try to get in a piece about the trade deadline now that we can put Zeke in a trade machine and it's not attached to a first round pick. We might have some more options on the table.
It gets so much more fun.
Exactly.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for wasting an hour with me today. And that is all I've prepared for you, my dear listener. And please, with cherry on top, please take the word prepared very loosely. Be well, be safe, be kind to everybody. Call your mom. And until next week, remember that my plan is to be Nuggets forever.